If you're a man over 60 and still doing this when you go to the bathroom, you may be silently damaging your prostate every day. It's not about what you eat or how much water you drink. It's about something much simpler and often overlooked. I've spent more than 40 years treating men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And you'd be surprised how many of them make exactly the same mistake until the symptoms become severe. Waking up 3, 4, even 5 times a night to pee. That feeling of straining that just won't go away. Sound familiar? Well, let's fix this before it gets worse. And by the way, I'd love to know how old you are and where you're starting from. My patients come from all over, and it's fascinating to see who's paying attention to their health. Let's start with a habit that almost no one talks about, but that almost every man over 60 has. And yes, I've seen it even in my own brother. The first bad habit is rushing to the bathroom. Eating. Most men don't even realize they're doing it. You stand at the toilet, you go, and you're out. 20 seconds, probably not. But here's the thing, your bladder doesn't always empty completely. Especially as you get older, the muscles that control urination weaken, and if you hold it in, you leave behind residual urine. That stagnant urine irritates the bladder, causing pressure and inflammation of the prostate over time. I had a patient, Jim, 67, a former high school football coach, who said he was too busy to spend more than 30 seconds in the bathroom. Guess what? He ended up with chronic urinary retention. He had to catheterize himself at home, all because he never gave his body the extra time it needed. What should you do instead? It's simple. When you think you're done, wait. Stand there for another 10-15 seconds. Give your bladder a chance to contract. Sometimes you'll feel a second wave of pain, and that's the one that really wears you out. I call it the protective pause. And believe me, this change can dramatically reduce night trips, urgency, and prostate pressure. But while that sounds important, it's nothing compared to what's coming next. Now let's talk about something even more damaging. Something I've seen silently destroy men's prostate health for years, and it often starts with a simple, innocuous decision. The second is the bad habit of straining too hard when going to the bathroom. Yes, really. This comes as a surprise to most people, but the connection between the bowel and the prostate is closer than you might think. You see, the prostate is right next to the rectum. When you're constipated or straining to go to the toilet, you're not only putting pressure on your bowels, you're also putting pressure on your prostate. That repetitive force over time creates tension in the pelvic floor muscles, disrupting blood flow and increasing inflammation throughout the area. I once treated a tired engineer named Frank, 72, who suffered from chronic constipation. Every morning was a struggle. He sat, strained, waited, and gradually his prostate became swollen. He had pain when he urinated, and he had a constant feeling of pressure in his pelvic floor. Scans showed he didn't have cancer, he didn't have an infection, he just had inflammation, probably made worse by years of straining. And it wasn't just about comfort. Chronic pelvic tension can make the prostate more reactive, meaning it overreacts to the smallest stimuli, caffeine, stress, even sitting for too long. So what can you do? First, don't ignore the urge to pee. Go when your body tells you to. Second, never force it. If things aren't moving, don't try to lift a piano. That will only tighten the muscles. Try elevating your legs a little with a small stool. This will change the angle of your hips and make the process more natural, closer to a squatting position, which will help reduce pressure on the prostate. Also, a high-fiber breakfast, oatmeal with flaxseed, prunes, or psyllium husk can help keep things in check. But remember, you're not just eating for digestion. You're protecting your entire lower pelvic floor. This habit may seem small, but over months and years it can add up and the damage can build up. But trust me, if you think that's serious, just wait until you see what most men do at night without even realizing it's attacking their prostate. Next is the worst. And this last one, it's the most common, the most damaging, and honestly the hardest to admit. It happens late at night, sometimes out of habit, sometimes out of embarrassment. But every time you do it, your prostate gets damaged. The third and worst habit is not sitting down to pee at night. I know for generations, men have been taught that real men stand. But if you're over 60, this mindset may be slowly destroying your quality of life. Here, SY. At night, your bladder control is weakened. You're tired, maybe a little dehydrated, and your pelvic floor muscles aren't as responsive. Standing to pee often means you're rushing, swaying, or only partially emptying your bladder. The residual urine creates pressure, and that pressure inflames the prostate, especially during sleep, when your body is supposed to be healing. I've seen hundreds of patients complaining of waking up 3 or 4 times a night, tired, frustrated, sleepless. One of the first changes I recommend is sitting down to pee after 9 p.m. No shame, no self-consciousness, just better health. Within a few weeks, the urge to pee at night is gone. Flow improves. Even daytime control is better. And there's more. Sitting reduces the risk of dribbling, which reduces irritation around the urethra. It allows your pelvic floor to fully relax, which is important for a full bladder emptying. Think about it. You wouldn't try to pour a glass of water while jogging, would you? Neither would I. I have a guy, Don, 69, a Vietnam veteran who's very resilient. It took him a whole year to agree to try it. 3 weeks later, he came back and said, "Doctor, I slept through the night." For the first time in 6 years. That's the power of a modest change, and it's the single most prostate protective move you can make after 60. Ignore it, and the inflammation will continue. Adopt it, and your body will get the rest it's been waiting for.